I hope this is going to be a short installment. This is basically a piece of advice towards anybody who tries to have a conversation with a female. And by conversation, I mean about serious issues, not small talk like philosophy or political philosophy or things like that. In any discussion with a female, a time will come in which she will invoke some concept that will be a taboo for you to fight. For example, she might accuse you of being a misogynist. If you dare, for example, say that there is a link between the growth of the welfare state and the extension of universal suffrage to women. If you do that, most likely you will be attacked as a misogynist. In the same way that saying that black people on average have a lower IQ than whites would be called racist, even though this is merely an observation. It's not, you are not making any claims. Moving forward, my advice towards people engaging mainly in conversations with females, saying things like, perhaps there is a link between women's suffrage and the growth of the welfare state, or perhaps there is a link between the constant degeneration of our culture and the fact that we constantly try to get the approval of the females more and more, when in fact, in earlier times, this was not exactly the case. In earlier times, what was the case was innovation, was pioneers achieving things. But I am slightly going off topic. The thing is, be unapologetic, and by that I mean try as much as you can to never apologize for what you're saying and for your beliefs, even if you're wrong. Now, I know this is hard for some people to do because many people, there are certain groups of people that cannot simply move on from a mistake they've made. They re-examine what they've said all the time to make sure that they are right. But when it comes to a conversation with a female, I highly recommend that you do not do that. I highly recommend that you do not re-examine what you said. What you said has been said, and it's part of history. You cannot change it. You can simply let it go. And of course, this has to do with any case in which you are talking with a female and you are expressing an idea, and you might be expressing it slightly wrong, or it might have some kind of a wrong connotation in the mind of the female. You do not care about that. What you care about is that you have this idea, and you will try to make it even clearer the next time. In case you are attacked on a personal level by being called a misogynist, the only rational defense for you is to simply ignore it. Or, to be even more precise, the best defense is to become sarcastic, to become more cynical towards the other person, and start saying, oh, well, I didn't notice that this conversation actually serves a different purpose than finding the truth. But now that I know that this conversation is serving the purpose of making you feel better about yourself, I will try to accommodate you with however I can, you know. Now, one has to understand that. One has to understand that women generally engage in conversation to make themselves feel better about themselves. They do not care about finding the truth. Finding the truth, in my opinion, is a male virtue. A male wants to find the truth because he understands that the truth will set him free, that the truth will save him. The woman, just like in many other cases in life, tends to see the truth as something to be manipulated, as something that doesn't even exist. And that's why, of course, a woman can easily hide behind the banners of misogyny and all that, when in fact a simple label is not enough for a man or a person with a masculine mindset. Leftism generally, in my opinion, can be considered the ideal, the female ideals in politics. Leftism and socialism in general is in fact that. It is the mentality of the female projected into politics. For example, one can easily see the similarities between the welfare state and the sugar daddy. In fact, the welfare state, the huge leviathan of today, is merely a manifestation of a sugar daddy on a large scale. That's it. Many people have said that, and in fact, the welfare state is indeed a big husband who has a lot of money. Now, women, in the micro scale do not really give a damn about theft, and they can justify theft. And the way they justify theft is by by engaging in double think. They do mental gymnastics. They think about other things, and only when you confront them with very very hard evidence, with very very hard logic, it is when they start to crumble. And even then, when they start to crumble, you will find out that women have this tendency. They always revert to their former arguments. An argument that is concluded with a female is not over. It's never over. I've seen this with, personally, people like my mother. She always reverted back to the same topics again and again, as if there was no progress, as if whole conversations meant nothing. And females, now I'm generalizing, but of course it has a lot of point, tend to do that. They tend to revert to their previous opinions. They're not satisfied by logic. And this leads me to the conclusion that you cannot treat females like men. You cannot just go to a man and say, you cannot just go to a female and convince her through argumentation. You might do that, but it's unlikely. In the same way that convincing a male who is a socialist that he's wrong is very, very difficult. In my mentality, I used to be a socialist some time ago, but the effort it took for me to change was so great that I do not easily believe that people will take this path. It is the path of maximum resistance. You get resistance from yourself, from your environment, from the people around you. Everybody resists this change. And it is a change in ideas, as I've explained, but it might be a change in your whole Weltanschauung, your whole worldview. You might change to an extent that people do not like it, not just in politics or philosophy. You might change your attitude. For example, yesterday you gave a fuck about some minute details, or a conversation you had with a chick that you will never meet again. Today, you might be cynical about it. You might say, well, fuck it, who cares? Because in reality, this is indeed the case. Who cares? And the more you are cynical like that, the better. Now, the accusations of misogyny are to be ignored completely. And in fact, when a female throws the misogyny card, or when a female throws any kind of moralistic card into play, when she starts saying that, for example, you might be supporting, I don't know, rapists or anything like that, the only correct response is to say, fuck you, I am out of here. You have no obligation to respond positively or negatively to her accusations. And in fact, even if a man did it, you would not have to respond to it, because it is an attack on you personally, and it is an attack that aims on making the other person feel better about himself. You should not give him or her, and we're talking about her, you should not give anybody this satisfaction, the satisfaction of saying, I have the moral high ground. No, you don't. You never did, and you never will. I will not be the philosophical dildo of any woman, and the same would apply for men, if they're so inclined. The charge of misogyny, the charge of anything that you might not like, for example, socialists might accuse you of being a fascist. Why? Because you want people free. That makes a lot of sense. The only valid response is to say, fuck you. That's simple. And above all, I want to address this in this video, even though it is slightly off topic. You have to understand that females, when they want something, they can never get it on their own. This is a rule. They can never go and get something on their own. They always get it by proxy. They always get it by bitching to their husband or bitching to their, brother, son, anything. They cannot do this on their own. And when they do this on their own, well, they can most certainly get what they're about to get. They can get it according to their own power. But mostly this is not the case, and that's why the whole suffragette movement, any movement that concerns the right to vote and any kind of right and all their social struggles and all that, we'll find out that in reality they didn't really do anything. What did they do? Go out and demonstrate? Bullshit. Did women get beaten up by cops? Did they? Or did women lose their lives in armed struggle against the oppressors? No, they didn't. They never did that. You didn't see women running in the streets with AK-47s or AR-15s and fighting off hordes of the military or the police to get their political privileges. You didn't see that. What you really saw was women just whining and whining and whining, and then claiming that they were struggling. What were they struggling about? In fact, the closest thing I've seen a woman To struggle is basically being with friends and attacking collectively another male who is too polite to respond, perhaps. That's the best they can do. And usually, that's how they do it. They attack you as a mob. They can never attack you mano a mano because, well, etymologically it's mano a mano, not mano a mano. Anyway, that's my main point. Be unapologetic. You don't need to apologize. You don't need to prove to anybody that you are a good person. To them, it doesn't matter if you are the worst piece of shit. Their opinion does not matter. The opinion of people like them does not matter. And the only way to understand that is simply to gauge the conversation from the very beginning and see if the person is a moralist. If they constantly try to put you in the corner and pretend that they are better than you and to start lecturing you, then you should revert to what I said. No apologies, nothing. In fact, I call this the Rudolph S. Strategy, the Rudolph S. response, because I named it after the response of the testimony of Rudolph S. in the trials of Nuremberg, in which he pretty much said a big old fuck you to everybody. And it's like, fuck you, I'll do it again. Even though we are not guilty in this case, unlike Rudolph S., even though we are not guilty of anything, we have never said we hate women, we've never said we want to send them to concentration camps or anything like that, we should never apologize. I did nothing wrong, and you can only cry. This is the only right response. Thank you for listening, guys.